Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz. It is June 12, 2017 at 5:08 p.m. Birmingham. Topic: Trump just blindsided the UN. Obama, Democrats are furious. This is an article by the PATRIOT Journal, by the way. For years, Americans have wondered why the United Nations, a body devoted to world peace, allows so many atrocities. This is especially true of the United Nations Human Rights Council, which refuses to condemn the violations of their own members. Perhaps we're finally reaching a breaking point with this body. Nikki Haley, U.S. Ambassador, made it clear that strong action from the U.S. may be happening soon. From the Daily Wire. On Friday, the Washington Post published an op by U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, in which she condemned the way Human Rights Council operates. Haley wrote that Venezuela and Cuba having seats on the HRC is an affront to the international body, as both nations are rampant abusers of human rights. Haley also pointed out that no special meeting of HRC Council, or the HRC, was called when Russia invaded Crimea, and the abuse continued to mount. On Monday, Reuters reported that Trump administration will likely make it known on Tuesday, tomorrow, whether the UN or the United States plan to remain part of the Human Rights Council. The outlet added that George Bush, in his presidency, the U.S. boycotted this body for 3 years before readjoining under President Obama. Targeting Israel is practically sport for the UNHRC. As the Times of Israel reports, Agenda Item 7, which is singular, state-specific agenda item, in other words, Item 7 is Israel, period, is a permanent fixture requiring the Council to discuss 3 times each year any alleged abuse of human rights committed by Israel against the Palestinians. Oh, but no. Consideration of how Palestinians regularly commit acts of terror against Israel. Palestine celebrates terrorists. They raise their kids one day to fight and kill Israelis. Israel, in return, is just trying to keep their people safe. Yet Israel is treated as the enemy, not Palestine. This is the kind of backwards thinking that is rife within the UNHRC. They continue to push an agenda that violates the only true democracy within the entire Middle East. This is part and parcel to the kind of corruption that exists within the UN as a whole. They've allowed toxic politics to prevent real justice from being made. Nations and people suffer while the UN does nothing. Could the U.S. withdrawing from the UNHRC send a larger exodus? Perhaps our departure will force reform, or perhaps it will compel the U.S. from leaving the UN completely. One thing is for sure, unless the UN officials change the way they do business, they won't work out, things won't work out for them in the long run. This is a heck of an article, but let me say something else about Israel. You have the United Nations, and this is dated today, by the way, June 12th, it just came out. Israel spends millions every year tending to those who are injured, Palestinians, sick, Palestinians who need food, water, and shelter, the Palestinians, refugees. Not only that, but it is Israel that is attacked not only by Hamas, the Palestinians, and any Muslim, and they don't have to be Islam or Islamic. Doesn't matter. Israel has never provoked any people to attack itself, Israel. So Trump steps forward and makes a huge statement, and I stand with Trump, by the way. And I say, wow, Trump just blindsided the UN. And what it do? It pissed off Obama and the Democrats. And I say, so what? Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador, is the one who is going to take on this project tomorrow. And not only that, keep in mind, the Palestinians aren't a real people. They were never called the Palestinians. Palestine, Philistines. It came from Philistines. And who were the Philistines? They were the offspring of Goliath. Who is Goliath? The offspring of the Nephilim, of the fallen angels. Goliath was a giant that David killed. The Philistines, Palestinians, are not a people. They took that name from the Philistines. The Palestinians are just a group of Arabs that were wandering and never stayed anywhere for long. But yet, when Israel goes into a dusty, dirty land, and God makes the land respond to Israel when they come, then suddenly the Palestinians feel like their land was taken away when yet they didn't even live there. Again, there are no Palestinians. The name came from the original Philistines, which were giants, which were all taken out because they all had the DNA of the Nephilim, of the offspring of the watcher angels that fell and corrupted the entire earth so that it had to be destroyed by water. But yet the Bible said there were giants in those days and after. Jody Wolf Expoz.